Zama never imagined that the very people she trusted most, her own parents, would sell her innocence for money. She thought her family loved her and wanted the best for her future. But what happened after they gave her to a wealthy old man as his wife, without her consent, would turn her life upside down. And when she later got pregnant for her husband's own son, the truth of her shattered world became a secret that could destroy everything. Zama was a beautiful young girl, the kind of beauty that was simple and natural, yet striking enough to make people pause. She grew up in a modest home. Her father worked as a roadside mechanic, fixing cars under the hot sun every day, while her mother earned little as a primary school teacher. Money was always tight in their home. Sometimes her mother returned from school with frustration written all over her face, because her salary was barely enough to buy food for the week. But despite the struggles, Zama held on to her dreams. She had just finished secondary school, waiting for admission into the university. She wanted to study hard, graduate, and make her parents proud. Little did she know that her parents were already planning a future for her that would have nothing to do with her dreams. There was a man named Mr. Hassan. He was well known in the town, a wealthy officer in the Nigerian Navy. He had everything money could buy: cars, houses, influence. But he was also a widower. His wife had died 5 years earlier after a brief illness, leaving him with 2 sons, Fab, the older one, who was calm and reserved, and Toby, the younger one, who was notorious for his love of women. Mr. Hassan often brought his cars to Zama's father's workshop. On one particular day, Zama brought food for her father at the shop. She didn't know that her simple presence that day would change the course of her life forever. Mr. Hassan noticed her. The way she greeted her father respectfully, the way she carried herself with innocence, it captured his attention. From that moment, he began to desire her. Later that week, Mr. Hassan approached Zama's father privately. He didn't waste time. He told him plainly, "I want your daughter to be my wife." He promised to use his influence to give Zama's father a good job in the Navy, a stable income that could change his family's life. He also promised to take care of the entire family. For a man who had spent his life struggling with little to show for it, this offer was too tempting. He went home and shared it with his wife. At first she was shocked, but after considering the wealth and influence of Mr. Hassan, she too began to see it as a golden opportunity. Poverty had been their biggest enemy, and this looked like a way of escaping it. They convinced themselves that marrying Zama to Hassan was a blessing in disguise. But in all their discussions, not once did they ask for Zama's opinion. Her consent never mattered. The marriage rites were arranged quickly. Family members were invited, and the ceremonies were done according to tradition. Zama, innocent and unsuspecting, thought it was just one of those cultural gatherings. She had no idea she was the bride in the ceremony. It was only after everything had been concluded that her parents sat her down and said, "You will now be living with Mr. Hassan. He will take care of you." They did not tell her she had been given to him as a wife. In her innocent mind, she thought perhaps it was a form of adoption. She called him daddy, not knowing that to him, she was now his wife. That night, Mr. Hassan asked her to sleep in his room. She found it strange but obeyed. For several months, he did not touch her, but his constant reminder was clear: "You are my wife now." Months passed, and Zama got admission into the university. She was filled with excitement. Finally, her dreams were beginning to take shape. But on the very night she was preparing to resume school, Mr. Hassan called her into his room. His tone was serious, and his eyes carried a weight she couldn't understand. He told her, "It is time for you to know your true place. You are not my daughter. You are my wife. Tonight, you will prove it." Zama's heart sank. At first, she thought he was joking, but the sternness in his voice made her tremble. That night, he forced himself on her. She obeyed, because she had no power to resist. That was the night she realized her parents had deceived her. She had been sold into marriage without her consent. The experience left her broken, and though Mr. Hassan tried to play the role of a husband, His old age made it impossible for him to satisfy her. Each time he touched her, she was left unsatisfied, her emotions hanging in the air, her body yearning for something more. Meanwhile, in the same house, Toby, Mr. Hassan's younger son, had been watching Zama closely. She was beautiful, young, and full of life. Unlike the older women he was used to chasing, he knew she was supposed to be his father's wife, but the attraction was too strong for him to resist. He began to flirt with her subtly. At first, it was harmless jokes, light touches when no one was watching, lingering glances that made Zama uncomfortable. But slowly he grew bolder. One afternoon, when the house was empty and his father had gone out, Toby approached her directly. He whispered words into her ears that made her blush against her will, and before she could fully grasp what was happening, Toby leaned in and kissed her. Zama resisted at first. She tried to remind him, "Your father is my husband." But deep down, she knew her marriage was not one of love or choice. It was an arrangement that had robbed her of her innocence. And when Toby touched her, she felt something she had never felt with Mr. Hassan, passion. That day, Zama gave in. Toby had his way, and for the first time, she felt like a woman. She experienced satisfaction in a way Mr. Hassan could never give her. From that moment, a dangerous secret began. Zama and Toby continued their affair in silence. When she resumed university, Toby would sneak to her hostel without his father's knowledge. They spent nights together, and what started as a mistake turned into something she craved. But with every secret meeting, Zama's conscience tore her apart. She was living a double life, playing the role of a submissive wife to Mr. Hassan, while secretly giving her heart and body to his son. She knew the truth could never come out. The shame would be unbearable, yet she could not stop. Years went by. Zama completed her university education, but the affair with Toby did not end. Shortly after graduation, she noticed something unusual. She had missed her monthly cycle. At first she brushed it aside, but when the signs became clear, reality dawned on her. She was pregnant. Her world collapsed around her. She knew the child was not Mr. Hassan's. It belonged to Toby. She tried to hide her fear. When she finally shared the news with Mr. Hassan, he was overjoyed. He believed he was the father. He told his friends proudly that even in his old age, he was still virile enough to father a child. Toby, on the other hand, knew the truth. But how could he claim the child? How could he stand before the world and admit that his father's wife was carrying his baby? He remained silent, hiding behind the lie. And so the secret remained between the two of them. When Zama gave birth, Mr. Hassan was the happiest man alive. He carried the baby with pride, never suspecting the truth. Life seemed to settle into a dangerous calm, until one fateful day, Zama, Mr. Hassan, and the newborn set out on a journey. They stopped by the roadside to buy roasted corn. Zama stepped across the road to buy a soft drink. She was only gone for a moment. Then out of nowhere, a trailer came speeding down the road. Its brakes failed. Before anyone could react, it rammed straight into their parked car. The sound was deafening. Zama turned around in horror. In that instant, her whole world ended. The car was crushed. Inside were Mr. Hassan and the newborn baby. Both of them died instantly. The funeral was filled with mourning and sorrow. Mr. Hassan's wealth and influence drew a large crowd. According to tradition, his properties were shared among his family. Some were allocated to Zama as his widow, but Toby, now the eldest man in the family, could not hide his anger. Though he loved Zama once, resentment grew in his heart. He blamed her silently for the death of the child that was secretly his. He could not forgive her. So after the burial, he pushed her out of the house. He swore she would never touch any of his father's properties. Zama, broken and homeless, turned to her parents, but instead of welcoming her, they rejected her. They had grown used to the money and benefits they received from Mr. Hassan, and they saw her return as a burden, and so Zama's life crumbled before her eyes. From a bright young girl, with dreams of education and a better life, she was reduced to nothing, a widow, a mother who lost her child, a woman betrayed by her parents, abandoned by her lover, and cast aside by the very people who should have protected her. Her story is one of betrayal, greed, and painful choices. But let me ask you, if you were in Zama's shoes, what would you have done differently? Would you have kept the secret? Would you have told the truth? Life is full of difficult paths, but one thing is certain: when parents put wealth above the future of their children, the consequences are always tragic. This is the story of Zama. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever seen or heard of a situation like this, tell us what you think. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life African stories that carry deep lessons.